host, Josilyn Drake. We have a great show in store for you today. The holiday season is here. For many, our souls go on a roller coaster ride during this time of the year. The soul is comprised of our mind, will, and emotions. It's the seat of our memory, feelings, imagination, convictions, desires, and affections. Oddly, most of us don't know a lot about the soul or how to take care of it. Today, my guest, Maggie Banger, is here to share with us information about taking care of our soul and how to get through this season well. Help me welcome to the Josilyn Drake Show, Maggie Banger.
Thank you so much, Maggie, for coming back to the Josilyn Drake Show.
Thank you for having me again. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so glad to see you today. So tell us again a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a private practice therapist, and I have an office in River Chase, which is over in Birmingham, down below it a little bit. And I treat people who are in addiction recovery. I treat people for grief and loss issues. I treat people for spirituality issues, and also just dealing with anxiety and depression and just general life issues. I work with adults.
Okay, awesome. So, what is your favorite thing about what you do?
Well, helping people to identify and see ways that they can make changes, and then watching them happen as a plan is laid into place. The honor given to someone's story, I think the ability to sit with and have presence with someone and honor their life, their story, their history while they are sharing, that is an honor and a blessing to me. And so one of the things I think was so attractive about counseling now is that it is a face-to-face presence. It's not electronic all the time. It can be, but sitting in a room with someone who is really seeing you and hearing you, the real you as you are, and it is a non-judgmental environment. And that, to me, is the beauty of being able to be a counselor for someone.
That is awesome. So tell me, what is the most challenging thing about what you do?
The brokenness that I just spoke of. Within people's stories, their woundings that they've had. Through childhood and through their adult life, being able to sit with them and hear those is an honor, but it also it's hurtful. Life is real. Challenges and tragedies do occur. And it is difficult to see and hear the impact, the broad impact on someone's life of the woundings that they've had over time.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. It brings me to the point of why you're here today. Our topic is taking care of your soul. I think it's a phenomenal topic, and I'll tell you my story about why I chose this topic. Normally every year, around October, November, I look at what I've accomplished, I look at what I want to accomplish the following year, and then I normally do a fast, the Daniel fast, for 21 days. And I heard in my spirit, attend to your soul. And I basically take care of your soul. And I found that so, it shocked me, because I didn't know what that looked like. You know, we're taught to take care of our bodies, we're taught to take care of our spirits, read the Word of God, and I was doing that, but I never considered my soul. And I think my breaking point was my sister had passed earlier that year, and she's the person I did life with, my confidant, and so here I am. I think that was the last straw, and the Lord saw that. And so, you've gone all these years without addressing the things that you had to deal with life, because you didn't know that you needed to address them. Pray, take care of your body. Never considered in many years my soul. And so for 21 days, instead of me doing that Daniel fast, I began to do a soul care journey for myself. And man, I'm telling you, I really, at first, I didn't even know what that looked like. I didn't know where to go. I began to do research, and I was kind of staying away from things that weren't necessarily my belief systems. And so I didn't find a lot out there. And I just prayed and allowed, the Lord just walked me through that. And so the book that you're going to forward, my book, I'm excited to say, it's a 21-day soul care journey. Will be released December 22nd. You can actually go to my website, josilyndrake.com, and pre-order the books. And because I wanted to do something so phenomenal on every level, Maggie will actually be forwarding my book, actually be also offering professional care. My book is a self-help care. But sometimes the things that we're dealing with is too deep for us to deal with alone. And we need some people to help us walk that through. And so Maggie is coming alongside of me, and she'll be able to offer sessions for those who feel like, I want to come out of this. I want to take responsibility for my life, but I know I can't do it alone. So we have different packages that you can get. If you want to just get that book and go at it for yourself, or you're saying, I need something deeper, or if you're saying, I need to have some mentoring or some coaching, we have all of that. Just visit josilyndrake.com and you'll find that information out there. And so, Maggie, can you just kind of tell us a little bit about the soul? Because we don't know much about it, honestly. It's not taught in the church. It's not, you just don't. And what is crazy, though, for Christians, Jesus came for that very purpose.
Yes.
He came to save the very thing that we know nothing about. That's our emotion. That's our will. That's our mind. And so can you please kind of help us a little bit to understand our soul?
Well, I'll tell you, Josilyn, with the questions that you sent me, the things that we're reflecting on, I really believe in breaking down the word atonement to at-one-ment. And when I look at that, I view things as soul, spirit, and body, and getting that in line. And I think that the Bible does speak about the soul, but I think we interpret it for the spirit sometimes. Mm-hmm. And if you'll look at different passages, it'll speak to that. My practice's name is Restore Counseling Services. And it is based on the verse in Joel, I will restore the years the locusts have eaten. And that restoration to me, when you think of soul, your soul is your perception. Your soul is your belief structure. Your soul is your mindset. And so if you want to put it in a psychological term, it is more of the ego state that is formed, the personality. Whereas your spirit is where you commune with the divine. You were created with the breath and the essence of God breathed into you. And that went into your spirit. And I still say spirit man. So I've got my spirit man internally. And what is formed as I grow is this soul. Yes. As I grow in my humanness, as a human being. And then I have my physical body. So I think of all three things of those things when I think of holistic care. So there are the spiritual needs that need to be met. Okay? We're talking about how you spiritually connect with the divine power source, and I call that God, as do you. And then we need to look at the physical body, how we take care of and exercise and medicate and pursue and clean and do all of the things we need to do to this physical body. But within the soul, what happens is as we age, different belief structures that come from our family of origin, different circumstances occur, life happens. We're acculturated depending upon where we live and our tribes that we come in, our cultures and subcultures, for certain belief structures. Yeah. And then depending upon just the factors of life itself, we have these different woundings that occur throughout life. And for some of those, they're what we call little t traumas. And for some of those, it's what we call big T traumas. So big T traumas are what you would consider the catastrophic events, such as the death of your sister that you just mentioned. That's a big T trauma to the soul when that is your confidant and your partner in life, your soul connection. big T traumas like rape or catastrophic events like 9/11, the shootings that we've recently been hearing of. And then I think of recently in Birmingham, we've had the poor 9-year-old girl commit suicide via hanging. And the trauma of that mother and the family around it. These are things that impact all three areas. But within the seat of the soul, our belief structure, our thoughts about who and what we are, and how we connect to this world, to the other people within it, and to ourselves, as well as to our concept of the divine, all sit within the seat of the soul. And so being able to unsurface, make us cognizantly aware and conscious of what really are my beliefs.
Right.
What really has happened throughout my life that has impacted the patterns that I have, the perception that I have. See, the way that our life teaches us, especially before the age of 12, puts these lenses on in front of us. And that is what we see our life through. So this perception. And for many of us, we have to live in situations until we become of age. There are no choices in that because we are too young. But as we become older, we have the ability to look at these beliefs, these core values, the occurrences throughout our life, joyous, positive, negative, detrimental, catastrophic, whatever they may be, and say, what have I taken from those that is useful to me? What have I taken from those that's harmful to me? And to be able to grow the useful ones and to learn how to look at, harness, and discard and forgive the harmful ones.
That's good, Maggie. You said so much in that. Gosh, thank you so much. So we're taught to take care of our bodies, as I said. But rarely do you hear people talk about the importance of taking care of our souls. Why do you think that is?
I think there's just a misunderstanding of what the soul really is. I think that a lot of people, especially particularly in the South where we are, you're taught, watch what you eat, try not to get too fat, try to take care of your body and go see the doctor, and then you need to get in a church somewhere. And you need to get, hooked up with somebody who can teach you good spiritual values. But we don't ever really talk about, what do you think about yourself? How do you view yourself in relation to the other people around you? When you look at you, do you see yourself as the same, as less than, as better than? Do you see yourself connected or disconnected? See, because when I think of the soul, I think of that we are created as human beings for belonging and community, and to be able to have deep connection with one another and to discuss our beliefs and ideas and to learn from one another from that area. And so asking ourselves and looking at, well, what do I really think? What do I really believe? And sometimes we also are deluded by our own thoughts and beliefs because we think we are what we actually want to be. And we are living in something and believing something that we really do not want to be. And we have to look at those things to determine where we really are and where we want to go.
That's good. It kind of reminds me of the scripture where it says, don't just look at, don't just do what you hear. I mean, just don't hear it, but also do it. Because if you don't do it, you deceive yourself. And so when you said that, I know a lot of us are just deceived, and we're wondering why people are encountering us or responding to us in certain ways is because what we think we are is not lining up. And so we're kind of like, well, what's the problem? I'm this great person, when in essence there's some changes that actually need to be made. That's a very, very good point. So just by living, our soul can find itself in many states. It can be wounded, damaged, cast down, lost, healthy, prosperous, or joyous. So do you believe the state of your soul determines the state of your life?
I really do. I practice a lot of what's called cognitive behavioral therapy. And that means my thought life and my behaviors fit with each other. What I believe, I live out. So what's in here, and I call these negative cognitions, what's running through the back of my head, I call it a negative tape. I react and I act to that constantly. And if I don't learn what that is, and what those messages are, and how to thwart and dispute those thoughts, I will continue reacting in a harmful way in my life if they are negative. Okay? So I need to learn to affirm. I need to learn to dispute and change those negative cognitions to positive cognitions. And so I know I'm speaking kind of a therapy's language and therapeutic talk, so what I want to do is break that down. As an example, I am bad. That's a negative cognition. I'm bad. A lot of people really do have that belief about themselves because as youngsters, they were always told no. They were told that they were not right. They were always told they were wrong, or they got the perception of, I am wrong, I am bad, I don't behave well, I've never been able to have the right answers, I don't fit in here, I don't fit in there. And so there are these messages that come in that I'll never be enough, I'm bad. Just those straight statements that all boil down to that. And beginning to know that and where those come from starts that liberation process of the soul. And you begin to retrain your mind. What is learned can be unlearned. Now, it takes a lot of practice, but you begin speaking to yourself what your needs have been, your soul needs have been. I am good. I am worthy. I am loving and lovable. I am useful. I am creative. And you begin to nurture your own soul in that way. And so, how we see our experiences, those woundings I was talking about earlier, they do change our perception. And we have the ability to either keep that or not.
That's good, Maggie. It's awesome that you said that. In my book, I have where you journal, because I think that's important to see where you are and where you're going and to be able to look back. You also have an opportunity to look at the man in the mirror. You know, sometimes the eyes, our eyes are the window to the soul. And we'll get in the mirror, we look at our facial features, and we may look at our eyes, but we never look into our eyes. And so one of the exercises on a daily basis is to look at yourself in your eyes and begin to affirm you. So you have these affirmations in the book as well to kind of change, what you've been saying and seeing and what has been put on you. Because I read where a lot of us clock out at the age of 5 because of so much of you're not this, and you just feel like I can't do anything good. So you just kind of clock out on life. At 5, I thought, wow, it's such a young age, but I can see that happening. If you're never told how great you are, or if it takes 5 positive words to overrun 1 negative word. And if you were never in a home where they decided to do the 5 positive words before they told you 1 negative, then you've gone through your life thinking that everything you do is bad. You can't do anything right. That what you're saying and speaking to is just great, and I'm excited to see that I'm definitely on the right path to be able to help people to walk through 21 days. And I can say, I did that 21 days. So I literally did a part of that book for the entire year.
Yes.
Because it was just so much buildup, And then even when you do that, you have to maintain. If you don't maintain what you get to, you're going to go back to that state. So it's like working out. If you stop working out, the fat is going to come. You got to continue on this everyday process. At least 3-4 times a week we're told to work out. So we need to do something at least 3-4 times a week to encourage our souls, to cause it to prosper, to build it up. So I'm beyond excited about this. Okay, my next question is, the soul needs attention and affection, but oftentimes we look outside of ourselves to get these things for our soul. So just as no one can take actions for us to work out our own bodies or to breathe the word for our own spirits, tell us the importance of us giving those things to ourselves, to take care of our own souls, to take responsibility and stop looking outside of ourselves with saying, well, I didn't get this, I didn't get that. Well, you didn't, but now it's no excuse to kind of stay there. You got to own up to it. It hurt, it was painful, but now I need to move forward. I don't want to stay in this state, so I need to begin to take responsibility for myself.
A lot of people remain in a state of victimhood. And being able to do appropriate soul care for yourself is a courageous act. And what I mean by that is real courage is owning up to the fact that I face a terrifying task. Admitting that it is, and I am appropriately frightened, but identifying sources within myself and going ahead and moving forward. It's one of my favorite definitions of courage I use when I'm doing grief work and loss work. And so when I think about the self-care that we need to do, one of the best things for soul nurturing, like we were saying, is affirmation. But another way to connect is through multiple venues of nature or the arts. Such as if you are a musician, or you love to sing, if you love to play an instrument, if you just enjoy music, that allows you to embrace and fill your soul. It allows you to experience things in a different way. And a lot of things that nurture the soul are the same things that do nurture the spirit. But also with the soul work, taking into account how has that changed my perception? What was my mood state? What is it now? What would I like for it to be? How do I accomplish that? And then monitoring yourself for when you're engaging in these activities. Does it lift you? Does it lower you? And finding things that keep you either at a steady state or lifted. And so internally, I believe for a lot of people, affirmations do that. Journaling can do that. It was a lovely way to be able to put all of those swirling thoughts out on paper and to be able to begin to see your own perception right in front of you. And then you can look at how it does shift and change. But being purposeful in what you listen to, what you see, how you speak about yourself to others, and how you speak to yourself about yourself is very important. Just like you were saying, by the age of 5, a lot of people have already just checked out on themselves. For instance, how many times do we really look at ourselves and go, oh my gosh, I look a wreck, my face looks terrible, my hair is a mess, my clothes are terrible, nobody's going to want to see me like this, I might as well just sit at home. And we say these things. What kind of atmosphere are we putting into ourselves and around ourselves?
That's good.
It's very detrimental and negative. And so beginning to have that awareness of our words do have power. Our thoughts do have power. I think that it's very important that we look at, within Scripture, take every thought captive. That is about a soul activity. We are to take those and look at them, change up and dispute them. Is that really true?
Right.
Is that really true? No, it's not. I'm beautifully and wonderfully made.
Right.
I was made in the image of the living God.
That's good, Maggie.
Yes,
Yeah.
and to begin to say those things instead of saying, I'm damaged goods. Nobody's going to want to deal with this.
A couple of things you brought out. One of the things that will come with my book is the journal. You'll actually get a journal, but you will also get a song. You talk about the arts. There's a song the Lord gave. It's called In This Place. And basically, it was not literally talking about like a location, a physical location. It was talking about the state that I am. I invite you into this place. So that would also be a part of it. And I've used that song to kind of walk me through it. Yeah, we're not going to do that, man. Yeah, so that will also be a part of one of the levels of that someone can get, when they order the book. So I'm super excited that you're just really confirming a lot of the things that I already walked through with God, with the Holy Spirit, and He'll just led me to do these things. But another thing you brought out is self-talk.
Yes.
To be intentional about what we say to ourselves. It is not as important what others say about us, but it's more important what we say about ourselves. And sometimes I don't think because we're just not, we've checked out, and we're not taking captive and thinking about what is all this just going on while I'm just going through the motions. What am I saying to myself? And begin to see what that is. What am I saying? And change, because life and death is in the power of your tongue.
Yes.
And so if you're speaking death to yourself, and no one else knows, like no one knows what's going on inside of me, no one knows what's going on inside of you, just me. I know, you know, right? Mm-hmm. And so I have the power. That's the great thing about it. We each individually have the power to change our worlds, to change what we say about ourselves, to change what we see about ourselves, irregardless of what we've done in our past, irregardless of what, our failures, our shortcomings. It doesn't define our future. We can still get up and rise to the occasion and become responsible for our thought life and what we say to ourselves, and bring forth a transformation of a beautiful thing. Out of ashes rose beauty.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it is so empowering to realize I am. I am who you have created me to be. And when I know this, I can refute all of those other words that come at me and around me. I do not have to accept those as truth, because they are not.
They are not. That's good.
They are not.
That is good. Love it. Awesome. Awesome. Ah, this is so good, Maggie. We can sit here and talk all day.
It's like, yes.
In my book, I refer to what is said to be 5 emotional wounds. You've been consistently talking about the wounds of the soul. So they're listed as rejection, abandonment, humiliation, betrayal, and injustice. So can you tell us a little bit about these different types of wounds?
Rejection. When something is purposefully pushed away, when someone is purposefully pushed away or aside. Humiliation. When someone is put lower than purposefully. Injustice. When someone is wronged, unjustly wronged, undeservedly is the word that I think about that. Wrong. Abandonment. When my emotional and physical needs are not met by those who it is contracted.
That's it.
Contracted within covenant to be met by, such as parents, such as a spouse that we entered into a contractual agreement. So sometimes these are unsaid commitments that are violated. And then I left off one, I believe. Betrayal. That's the one I left off of. When I have violated a confidence. When I have violated a trust bond between us, whether stated or unstated. These are deep woundings of the soul. They confirm those negative cognitions of I am unlovable. I'm not worthy. I'm meant to be alone. I can't connect with people. I'll never be a part of. I will always be separate from. And they perpetuate those things. And in the work that I do, many of us, we weren't given the tool set and the coping skills to be able to deal with those types of woundings. Not because somebody purposefully didn't teach us, just because it's not something we normally are taught, just like you were speaking about. We're not taught about soul care. And so many of the things that are done therapeutically within this instance is to be aware of what all has happened within your life. So get your story straight for you without anybody else telling you what your story was and how to view it. It is how you view your story from within yourself. Just like you said, nobody knows me really except for me. And so getting my story straight for me. Then looking through and learning about forgiveness. Key to this is forgiveness. Forgiveness for others, forgiveness for the self. And so those violations, we need to forgive them. Because forgiveness is not about the perpetrator.
Right.
Forgiveness is not about the violator. Forgiveness is about cleaning on our own insides so that we can have that connectivity between soul and spirit, so that the spirit can rule the soul.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, so many women, especially in the marriage covenant, are neglected. Unfortunately, that's just the state that we find ourselves in. But again, one thing you said about forgiving and then taking responsibility for yourself.
Yes.
Because what I found out is you can't change others, change you. And so when you take that into your own power and begin to say, I forgive you, but I'm going to be responsible for me. One of the things I have in the book is to have a covenant with yourself.
Yes.
I think that is so important. Like, we don't think about what am I promising myself before I connect to promise something to someone else. So we find ourselves kind of lost and neglected and, angry and bitter because they can't fulfill a need that I think we are responsible to feel first for ourselves. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Absolutely. When I think about the soul also, I think about our character.
That's good.
And so to me, what you are talking about is these are the demonstrations of what I want my character to be. And how am I living those out? Where am I at with that? And the covenant with myself to say, I want to be this caliber of person. This is my set of beliefs. These are the characteristics that when someone looks at me, when someone hears my name, they associate with me. And then being honest with ourselves about where we are on the spectrum of meeting those values and goals and characteristics. And so nobody can do that for me.
Right.
Nobody can suit up, show up, and be Maggie Banger. It's me. It's me. I'm responsible for what I say and don't say. I'm responsible for what I do and don't do. Like it or lump it, as my dad said. And so I have to look at and evaluate where I am with me and know I am the one who can change my behavior. I can choose people around me to influence me and to undergird me, but I can't learn through osmosis from their presence. I have to get in and do the work.
That's right.
I can be around them and absorb as much as possible, but it is not going to change me unless I do the work with it, within my own self. And sometimes we don't have the skill set to do that. And that's why we need spiritual mentors, or we need a life coach, or we need a counselor or therapist to help us.
Gosh, Maggie, that was real powerful. For those who decide to get their soul in shape, it's not an overnight process. We have years of baggage and things we kept under the rug, things too painful to deal with sometimes. It will take time, persistence, and being intentional. So I think if you don't celebrate the small victories, we will see it as an impossible task. Talk about the importance of celebrating small victories as we eat that elephant one bite at a time.
Well, I think encouragement is something that we all need. And I think many times we want it from others, and we create our own resentment like we're talking about. So one of the ways we can encourage ourselves is to be able to do those affirmations like you were saying, to acknowledge and say, you know, I looked at this, it was tough, and I made it. The other thing is we can set up for ourselves a system of rewards. Seriously. Sometimes we need some tangible things. So for many of us, you know, if we want a certain item, you know, it could be a purse, it could be shoes, it could be a new couch, it could be a car, whatever it may be. It may be a pair of earrings, or it may be to go out to a nice dinner with a friend. It doesn't have to be anything huge. It could be something small. But to say, girl, you got in, you looked at all these things, you dug through this stuff this week, let's go watch that movie and take a break and just kick back and laugh and have a good time.
Awesome.
And to do something small for ourselves, to go get a pedicure or a manicure, to go get a massage, to go and give yourself, especially if you're a young mother with young children and you're doing work, to give yourself a time out where you can go and take care of yourself, or you can go out and have a cup of coffee with a friend, or you can go and sit in your own bedroom with the door locked alone and enjoy yourself for 20 minutes with nobody bothering you. You know, these things are important, and those kinds of practical things are rewards that we can give ourselves that say, hey, you're taking a look at you, you're moving forward, and you're doing a good job.
Yeah, that's good. It's funny you said that about the mothers. In my book, I talk about lost souls and how when a lot of the parents' kids leave the house, they don't know who they are. And they're kind of lost, like, who am I? And it goes from years of neglecting themselves, you know. I think sometimes we make ourselves feel about the fact that someone needs us, you know, and that's a good way to avoid dealing with my stuff. Because, oh, my husband needs me, my child needs me, and I feel important because they need me. However, when you keep withdrawing and there are no deposits, you're going to come up insufficient. And so a lot of us find ourselves in those places where we're operating on insufficient funds, and it takes something traumatic as our kids leaving, empty nesters, and now, what do I do with my life? Who am I? You know, we're just kind of going around lost and have no clue of what to do. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think regular routine practices, either daily or multiple times throughout the week, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, like someone does exercise a certain amount of times a week, we need to do soul care like that. So beginning to say, these are the things that I value and that are important to me. And not to say, I'll do them later when the kids leave. Say, I'll do them now so that the kids see me taking care of myself.
That's good.
And beginning to model that now so that you keep you and you grow you. And they see you and watch you do it so that they carry it with them. That you're intentional about building your relationships with them, but also with other people, community-wide, with your spouse, within your extended family unit, your peer system, whatever those people and communities and tribes may be, that you are intentional about your self-care, and part of self-care is having that kind of communion with other people and allowing your children to see that. So when they are moving on, they've already seen that be implemented, and they are more likely to implement it for themselves. But for ourselves to be intentional throughout that time. Just like you mentioned, you have insufficient funds. The analogy I use is the dry well. We can't give water to somebody who is thirsty if we don't have any in us. And so we'll be giving people cups of dirt when they're thirsty. And we don't want to give our children dirt.
Right.
We want to give them living water.
Right. See, the better you, the better everyone that's connected around you. And I think that analogy is so appropriate when you're in the airplane and they tell you first put the mask on yourself and then take care of the person that's next to you or whoever, your child.
Correct.
And so we need to reassess our priorities because, again, like I said, the better me, the better my husband, the better my children, the better my life.
Thanks for watching. The Josilyn Drake Show never stops. The conversation continues on Facebook and Instagram. Follow us, like us, and be a part of the conversation. Next time, enjoy life. See you next week on The Josilyn Drake Show. Get Josilyn's new single from her upcoming sophomore album, In This Place, on iTunes and all digital outlets. Log on to JosilynDrake.com and get your Dear Younger Me apparel. Visit JosilynDrake.com and pre-order your copy of her new book, Whole, a 21-day soul journey.